Hello, this is OC Skywatch. It is the 29th of August 2015 around 1:30 in the morning, and it's been a while since I did my last video, so I might as well make another one. Alright, let's get started. I'm gonna make this one as short as I can because it's late and I've had a long day and I'm tired. Anyways, I'm gonna be showing you California drought aerosols and some weird satellite anomalies. Okay, this is August 23rd, 19 to 23 Zulu. Zulu is GMT time or UTC time, just to clear everything up. Anyways, yeah, you can see that there's aerosols that are being laid over, well, pretty much the entire eastern Pacific right now, off the coast of California. And that is because there's this low pressure here that's wanting to develop and bring some rain into California. Of course, the weather controllers, they don't want it to rain in California. So, what do? They use their same old dirty tricks. You see this low pressure right here? It looks like that they're pressing some dry air down here into the front that's starting to develop. Kind of see some clockwise action in here. These clouds haven't reached into the mid and upper layers yet, so that's why they don't show up in the water vapor map. Look at the aerosols just all around this thing. They're trying to stop everything from developing into a powerful low pressure, as usual. Okay, look at this. They're spraying on top of California, and right over here, in between, there's some stuff that wants to develop, but unfortunately, though, it's not doing anything. It looks kind of weird. Quite unfortunate, because we're really in need of rains. Anyways, look at the extremely heavy aerosols over most of California. Let me slow that down a bit. All those individual lines, they're all trails of crap, basically. Toxic, hazardous waste. Okay, this is long wave. Not too much else to show. Just a bunch of development trying to happen, but these aerosols are getting in the way. And this is just going to prevent a lot of convection from occurring, thus preventing this thing from spinning up. And here is just preventing any thunderstorms from popping up. Look at the plume right through the center of that thing. Pretty incredible, huh? And this right here is just gonna go on top of this low pressure. Still pretty funny. Things right here just looks like there's some dry air being pressed down. Wouldn't be surprised if there is. Okay, moving on. August 24th, 7:30 to 11 Zulu. Pretty much they're really assaulting this thing right here, as well as assaulting California. Very, very obvious lines. Look at that. Also look off the coast of Oregon. Great. They're trying to prevent this thing right here from bubbling up. This is supposed to be a front that's supposed to be developing. Kind of looks like some weird stuff. There's also a wave over here next to Hawaii that I totally missed. They're spraying into it so it doesn't develop and bring rain to California. Alright, one last view before we move on. Yeah, look at the heavy aerosols, just to stop convection and just prevent low pressure from getting strong and whatnot. Look at that obvious streak there. My gosh. And people are still wondering why we have a drought. It's all the spray with the use of ionospheric heaters. They're keeping all the rain out of California. And over here we have this strong ridge of high pressure, and it's being locked here. There's like a giant wall just a little bit north of Hawaii. That's going to be there for a long time. Alright, sorry about that after being rudely interrupted. Back. This wall, this engineered high pressure dome, yeah, they're keeping that in place for a long time. Very, very strange stuff happening there. I did have a storm surf map showing you that thing being there for like a good, oh my gosh, 180 hours plus. They're just keeping the Eastern Pacific in a isolated zone. You can see that this thing is starting to bring down or form an area of low pressure to the east of this thing right here. And, well, looks like they're spraying into it a bit. Okay, let's move on. August 24th, 19 to 22:30 Zulu, and this low pressure is starting to take shape. There's a lot of heavy aerosol spraying off the coast and on top of Washington. That's mainly to keep the drought going for them. British Columbia is not too much better. Very funny stuff happening in this area. This thing wants to spin up, but it's not being allowed to. Heavy aerosols are being laid. It just looks like a giant mess. Look at that very blatant streak. Stops convection and just prevents it. And yeah, no wonder that thing's getting nowhere. Also see some spraying near the San Francisco area. And meanwhile, here it looks like they were laying some aerosols in Southern California in the mountains to prevent some thunderheads, because there's moisture coming up from the south now. Unfortunately though, no rain for my area. I know some areas of Southern California got it, but we didn't here near the coast. Here's a tropical storm or hurricane. Anyways, heavy aerosols all along. This thing's just being sprayed into as usual, and it's starting to move towards the east more. I think there's going to be a second wave of moisture coming along, and they're just going to spray into it. This is a visible satellite. There's this low pressure that still wants to develop, but it looks like it's actually disintegrating a bit. It's not able to develop and continue on because aerosols and dry air, potentially. Look at that. Nice try with the Photoshop. You can even see stuff here as well. Very blatant up in the northwest. Look at all the stuff coming out. It's nasty. That isn't rain. This stuff is rain, but then just turns into a giant mess. What is this? Kind of looks like they were shoving some dry air in there. That's how they killed the thunderstorm on June 30th, because I see some clockwise rotation right here, and right here as well, and up here. There's multiple areas being affected. This thing's just going to turn into a giant mess. I can guarantee it. Okay, August 25th, 3:30 to 7 Zulu. Alright, let's speed this up a bit. You can see this thing just looks like a giant mess, and it's just heading over. There were multiple waves. Look at all the heavy aerosols in the northern sector of California, and this little weird thing here. Very, very strange. There's like a little boundary. But look, very blatant over northern California now and off the coast of central. What is this little line here? I don't know. But obviously aerosols to the east of it. There's stuff still wanting to develop, but it's just, as it heads over towards the east, it's just disintegrating. And you can see this area of high pressure, it hasn't gone anywhere. There's still like a brick wall right here, just a little bit north of Hawaii. This is long wave. This was water vapor right here. Not a whole lot to speak of here. It's just very funny stuff in Southern California. There's clouds starting to form randomly. I know Mother Nature wants to do its job and bring rain, but hey, unfortunately though, I feel it was prevented from many angles. Whether it be from the south or the west. Look at all these clouds right here, and look at the aerosols. I slow that down a bit. They're spraying right on top of this just to prevent thunderstorm activity. They want to keep the convection at a minimal state. Thunderstorms or rain over here, and just as it heads east, it's basically smashed. Not a chance. And the water right here, guessing around 80 degrees or 78 or something like that. It's pretty warm. It looks like aerosols as well to the west of this development. They just want to shut it down, it looks like. See, look at that. Stuff starts appearing. Okay, this is a shortwave. It's not really too different. It's just a giant mess. Tons of aerosols all over. Blatant spraying in Northern California. Little HAARP downburst, it looks like, over Arizona. It's like a little boundary here. See? Little boundary that travels west. And this low pressure is just substantially weaker than it was. It's pretty much done. Done for. And there's clockwise motion here. I don't know what it is. I don't know if that's a HAARP downburst or what. The big picture now is what's happening to the west of it. This big thing here, and stuff getting just smashed. Okay. This is August 25th, 8 to 11:30 Zulu. This is shortwave. The disintegration continues. There's really strange stuff happening in Southern California right now. It's almost like they want to push these clouds and just tease us and make us think that we're going to get rain, but we don't. It's kind of weird. This thing looks like a little boundary there, and I don't know what to make out of it. I see clockwise, and the transmitter's just like right here, so we could easily reach that. This whole situation's weird. Look at the stuff happening over here. It's just being broken apart. See spray, little streaks in it. See? Right there. Last frame showed it pretty well. This thing's heading up for Alaska or whatever, because there's this continuing blockage in the jet stream. They're just keeping a giant wall here. They've been doing that for like the last week or week and a half. Look at that spray right there. Just very funny stuff. Towards the end of this video, you're going to see extremely funny stuff that I see. Just look how distorted the jet stream is for a moment. Just look. It's heading into Alaska. It's coming down. There's a low pressure that's starting to form now. Well, unfortunately though, California's going to be hit by another spray as this front heads in and gets developed. You can already see heavy spray into the front. No shocker there. And towards the heart of the low as well. See? Look at that. All this stuff appears out of nowhere. Very heavily aerosolized. No wonder the western United States gets very, very little precipitation. It's because these aerosols migrate moisture. It overnucleates it and nothing's able to fall. I forgot to mention something quite important. You see these little dots right here? These little dots all around? These are forest fires. Our state is burning to the ground, so is pretty much the entire West. And people are wondering why there's fires all everywhere and why they're out of control. Well, let me tell you something. Our weather hasn't been natural for so long, and a bunch of toxic fallout, mainly the aluminum, causes the fires to burn hotter, and therefore it's going to take more resources to put these things out. It's all part of a genocidal plan, I believe. And look at the moisture down here. They're just teasing us, it looks like. No rain there. And some areas did get some rain, but areas towards the coast didn't. Look at this thing right here. There's nothing left of it. It's just a bunch of mess. Broken up clouds and whatnot. Heavily aerosolized. There's still stuff wanting to develop, but it's not going to do anything. I'll guarantee you that. Might see a little bit of a clockwise flow right here. Oh, that's very funny. Okay, this is visible 20 to 23:30 Zulu on August 25th. What are they doing now? Pretty much the same crap. Heavy aerosols over this region. This low pressure right here is just dying. Mother Nature still wants it to live, but unfortunately though it's not gonna do anything. Look at the very heavy trail over that. It's very blatant, even visible where they like to filter it. Looks like some clockwise action in here. It's dry air and then heavy spray over it. Yeah, this was the band of moisture. Now it's nothing but just a dirty mess. That's about it. What is that? Off the coast of Southern California. It's very, very odd. Northern California is getting hammered, of course. Let's check the view for that giant wall. High pressure is engineered. Yeah, I'm almost certain. There's this thing heading rapidly towards Alaska. But yeah, look at these rings in clockwise action. Expounding dry air. I think it's in this location as well. In a very small area. It's all along here. Kind of looks like a little boundary as well. A little bit to the southwest. I know I'm boring you, so I'm going to try to pick up the pace a bit. But there's so much going on here. It's not even funny. Looks like there's heavy aerosols, expanding dry air that's being pushed down there. These storms are being smashed towards the south and east. Look at the boundary, so blatant. This is good evidence here. And also look how planes are spraying into it. This stuff is hard for me to do. It's so heartbreaking, our planet being destroyed by a bunch of psychopathic elites and whatnot. As this stuff wants to bubble up or whatever, it's just being smashed. Look over here. Seems like this thing is pretty much dead. They're continuing to spray over it just in case it wants to develop again, which with the warm oceans seems very, very likely it would. I'm telling you, there's a lot to these cynical operations here. This is water vapor spraying over Northern California and Central California. Their effort to be more covert is taking place in the south, more so than the north. In the north, they can't really avoid showing some trails, it looks like. They're just trying to block whatever coming in. This stuff is rapidly moving towards the east, and as it approaches California, more and more spray. This video is getting longer than I have wanted it to, but so much good stuff here. Look over here. Kind of looks like there's some rain that wants to form off of Southern California. It seems to be like a little tease or whatever. This looks kind of dirty and whatnot. Kind of looks like they were aerosolizing this as well. And you can see the slow pressure. It kind of looks weird. Look at the heavy streaks off of Oregon and Washington State. Looks like a huge cool down operation, whatever you want to call it. Our state's being murdered. So is others in the west. It's just so dry. I went up to Redding. On the way back, there was tons and tons of aerosols being sprayed above us in the valley, like all along here. Not to mention, when I was up in Redding, there was so much smoke, it's not even funny. Yes, I went to Dane's event, a major California event. I'm glad I did. There were over 1,000 people. I know Dane's trying his best, so I'm gonna support him. We're all in this together. Heavy spray over here as usual. Okay, I need to move forward now. This is taking way too long. August 26th, 3 to 6:30 Zulu, and well, as expected, this thing is spinning up, and it's all like a giant control operation. This wave of stuff is starting to come in. There was one wave, and then it merged into two waves. This thing keeps going. The water's like really warm here, so of course we keep going. And look at the extreme heavy spray over here just to prevent anything from happening. Looks like the rain is pretty much moving out of Southern California now. What little rain. Hell, I didn't even have any rain in my place. But yeah, look at that. Heavy spray. As this stuff keeps heading towards California, they just continue to aerosolize it, and so nothing gets through. The Eastern Pacific still has its own isolation zone. The jet stream's just not going from west to east as normal. It hasn't for a long time. Look at this nasty stuff. How tragic. This is long wave right here. Still some cloud cover over Southern California, but there's just not a whole lot of rain. Kind of weird. There's a lot of dry air in here as well, and I kind of see clockwise in here. They're trying to shut it down, I believe. Look at this water vapor right here. Kind of looks like clockwise flow. That's kind of odd, and there's quite a bit of dry air towards the center of this thing. It's weird. It's not a really strong low pressure, I don't think. Look at this thing getting smashed. Of course. Clockwise rotation. Looks like a traditional downburst of dry air. Stuff's just going clockwise, and this thing's supposed to be going counterclockwise. It's kind of weird. It's very weird. This thing's still making its march towards Alaska. You see the wall right here. High pressure. Kind of see funny stuff there. I don't know what to make out of it. Massive plume just coming out and disintegrating as it heads towards the east. Alright. This is 8 to 11:30 Zulu on August 26th. We're getting closer. Don't worry. I know this is a long video, and I apologize. I'm just doing what I can here to show everything that I see that's abnormal. Probably gonna edit some stuff out just to make it a little bit shorter. Nothing much has changed. Here's typical old stuff. Well, what is that? Kind of looks like something's disintegrating here. Looks like a boundary. And of course the stuff is getting closer to the California coast, and this low pressure, it's wanting to do its job, bring rain, but it's not able to. Actually, it kind of looks like it's getting all dried out as it heads in. There's like so much weird stuff. Looks like a little boundary. Yeah, what do they do when the front comes in to California? They just tear it apart. This thing looks like it's disintegrating. There's a little bit of a clockwise flow in here. Let's look at the wall again. Not much has changed. What's left over of a hurricane is just moving towards the northwest very, very rapidly. Okay, this is water vapor here. Not too much to show. It's just a plain old aerosolization process, and low pressure's kind of looking funny. What is this? I see a little boundary. This is going in a different direction as this going up there. It's kind of odd. Kind of looks like they're pressing down over here just to stop rain. There's also a little boundary here I see. Why am I not surprised? Okay. Moving on. Look at this low pressure right here. See a little clockwise motion in it. This is August 26th, 17 to 2030 Zulu. It looks like this thing right here, just a little bit north of Hawaii, it's pretty much done for now. It looks very, very weird, like it's getting squashed. There's stuff still trying to develop, but it's just not working. Northern California and Central California are starting to get hammered by extremely heavy spray, aerosol spray. Look at that. Look at all those lines. They just appear out of nowhere. This is what happens to almost every winter front we get. They just spray away when there's a low pressure and no rain comes out of it. See, there's no rain, absolutely no rain with this. It's just a bunch of aerosolized junk. Look at that. Insane. This thing wants to bubble up over towards the west a bit, but it's being smashed. See, it's just drying up. Look at the clockwise motion here. Looks like there's dry air being pressed down. It's just rapidly getting drier. The darker the thing is getting, the drier. Look at that. Okay, let's speed that up. I kind of see, yeah, a little bit of clockwise motion in here. See? Clockwise. Counterclockwise. Isn't that odd? I think it is. I thought low pressure systems were supposed to be all counterclockwise. At least in the northern hemisphere. But how is there clockwise in here? I really want to know. This thing's just being smashed. There's going to be another low pressure that's going to form, and that's going to pretty much be at the end of the video as well. Okay, visible. Okay, let's zoom in. What do I see? I see little boundaries right here. Dry air being pressed down to shut this thing down. They're still trying to shut down the plume, prevent rain from hitting California. There's a lot of activity here. Just like a circular thing. Looks like there's a few of them. Clockwise, abnormal. It's like in such a tight area. It just makes me wonder what's happening. Okay, this thing's like 30 minutes later. I don't know how that happened. This is on long wave. Oh yeah, I decided to add this band in because the aerosols show up a little bit better. The lines. Look at that. Strong. They really don't want it raining in California. Alright then. This is just a few hours later. This is 1930 to 23 Zulu on August 26th. Just look at that. That's insane. It was one of the worst spray days that California has endured this summer. Just look at that. They all appear out of nowhere. It's sad. When I was up in Northern California, the forests were silent. The trees looked really like they were in bad shape. Didn't look healthy. Probably because they're not. Let me slow down that thing. Look what they do ahead of a front that's trying to come in. Get an idea of how many planes there are involved. That's insane. Incredible. Unbelievable. This is water vapor, same time here. This is just another band of their crazy assault on us. Absolutely crazy. Let's see if there's any more clockwise motion in here. Still looks a little bit funny in the low pressure. Just doesn't look like it's all counterclockwise. The center is leaning more towards clockwise. It isn't part of nature. Let me make that very clear. Funny stuff of this wall over here. This high pressure is still here, and it's being fueled by a bunch of aerosols, of course. It's just a huge aerosol bank, and that keeps the heat in. Alright, this is more recent here. August 27th going to the 28th, 21:30 to 0 Zulu. This thing still wants to develop. It looks very, very odd, to say the least. You can see that this stuff that was hanging out near Hawaii is now moving to the east, and it just looks very dirty. Lots of aerosols and whatnot, no surprise. High pressure's still here. Heavy aerosols, of course. Look at these lines. It looks like trying to filter it out a little bit, but they did a pretty crappy job. What is that? That looks like a... That almost looks like a downburst of dry air over here. You can see the rings and the thing just disappearing. It's just being smashed and this thing's being pushed to the right. I know they're trying to be very careful with their duties because they've been exposed so much. Look on the north and northwest side of it. Yeah, that's aerosols. This is very funny. Towards the center. That's weird. A little odd. I don't know if that's a thing of dry air. Kind of looks like it. A little bit. I know there's some intervention though, because this stuff is just disappearing on the northeast end of it. You see the smoke over here? It looks like from the fires. No wonder these things are still going on. It's because moisture is not being allowed to fall onto them and extinguishing the fire. There's also smoke right over here as well. There's lots more smoke in the northwest. These are all fires. And there's a big fire over here as well. And yeah, the geoengineering scheme has almost a completely direct link to the fires occurring. Okay, this is August 28th, 7:30 to 11 Zulu. This is the assault a few hours later. Just look at that, it's insane. And wow, people need to wake up big time. I know there's a lot more than there was, but the rate needs to be accelerated. Looks like there's dry air appearing right in northern Sierras. What is that? I don't know. Anyways, this notch keeps coming down and low tries to keep reforming. We're getting close, don't worry. Looks like there's spray on the north end. This is just another view. Better view. I like to get both bands in. Whoa, what is that? That looks like a huge plume of something that just appears out of nowhere. I know they're heavily aerosolizing it. That looks like heavy aerosols, actually. And look at the spray over here. What is that? These lines entering northern Oregon and southern Washington. What is that? Looks like some sort of spray of some sort. Very heavy. I know they were doing it really heavy off here as well. All to keep the drought going in California and the Northwest. Just the West in general. Let's check at this wall really quick. Wow, this high pressure is still here. You would think that it would be moving out by now. It's just staying in the same exact location. Look, I don't know what the deal is. There's not a whole lot left to show. Alright, August 29th, 3:30 to 7 Zulu. There's this low pressure that's really starting to kick up now because it's nighttime and ionosphere heaters aren't nearly as effective during the night. But look, the assault continues pretty heavily. Right. And there's this notch of stuff coming down. That's just gonna fuel low pressure, I feel. But then they're gonna smash it. Look at the front of this low pressure. By the way, because no rain was allowed to fall, we've been baking here, all in the state. It's not just Southern California. We've been really hit hard. 100+ degrees every single day for a few days. But today was the hottest, August 29th. This is still August 28th in Pacific time, I feel. Hammered Northern and Central California as this front wants to come in. There's no rain at all with it, and blatant streaks. See? Look at that. You just appear and this is long wave. This thing is starting to turn into a nice strong low pressure, but as the front heads in, no rain is being allowed to fall because they keep spraying into it and probably use ionospheric heaters as well. What is that? That kind of looks like the remainder of a dry air downburst of some sort. It's just expanding outward. Don't know what the deal is. The only rain part is just right here where my mouse is. And the other part is just nothing. Just a bunch of heavy spray to keep the drought going. Now let's look at the wall one last time. See a little ring over here. There's not a whole lot of stuff to show. Just a bunch of dry air along that edge. Okay, this is a short wave. Okay, let's play this thing. Silly computer. This thing's been on like 2 weeks straight. Funny stuff in this location. Looks like plumes starting to bubble up again, and I'm gonna try to keep a clockwise flow going in there just so it doesn't reach its maximum potential and just dissipate. It's already dissipating over here. Oh yeah, I forgot to show you this thing right here. See in shortwave, this wall right here, there's like little lines, looks like a bunch of microwave energy appears. So I'm pretty sure they used microwave energy there. I'm going to stop this thing for a second. Look at that. I don't know what to think of it. It's just so weird. And it just disappears. Yeah, look at that. How? It's like all along here. All along here. Like, what's the deal here? Yeah, this is August 29, 4 Zulu. That's the first frame. That's very odd. This is a half hour later. This is another half hour. It's just weird. Strange anomaly. Probably the people here didn't want me to see it and have me show you that. Disappears after a few frames. It's just odd. Invisible, there's not a whole lot to show. Kind of looks like stuff is expounding outward. They're just doing a constant microwave over that area. Hang on a second. This is a long wave. I'm gonna see if there's anything because I've got to use different layers to put the pieces of the puzzle together. That's what I've been doing. Just this stuff's just so funny. So you can kind of see clockwise and whatnot. And over here it's kind of odd. South of the Aleutian Islands. It's like a little wall right here. And nothing's being allowed to pass. Everything's just getting rerouted into Alaska and down south. I think this is pretty much the end of the video. It's been so long. Anyways, I see this thing continuing for a long time. The same weird pattern, same control. This high pressure eventually breaks down after like 2 days, and then comes back up, and then moves on out. 144, and then it's like a wall just northwest of Hawaii, all in the same location. It's kind of weird. It's too much of a coincidence for it to be natural. Natural's just from the west to the east, and then so on. It's like hitting a wall over here, and jet streams breaking up into a train wreck, and then anyways, thank you for watching. Please share. We need to step up our game if we want to stop these programs.